Perimenopause and menopause can be scary, the going through it part and the talking about it part, because there's still a stigma attached to it. So what are we supposed to do? Suffer in silence as our bodies are clearly going through something, continue to get misdiagnosed, or just ignore the pain we're in because this universal thing called aging is taboo, if you're a woman anyway. Join me and my guest, Carin Luna-Ostaseski, as we have an open and honest conversation about perimenopause, menopause, some of the symptoms and solutions, but also the opportunity we have as women to thrive in this time of our life when we go from being who we have had to be to who we truly are. Welcome to Moving Mountains in 3-inch heels. I'm your host, Julia Jordan. Moving mountains in 3-inch heels pretty much says it all when it comes to women. We can make anything happen. Not only can women do anything, we do everything except prioritize ourselves. But it's time to. It's time to prioritize your needs, your wants, your hopes, your dreams, your purpose. It's time for each of us to say each day, today I start with me. If you're ready to laugh, learn, and leap into a healthier, happier you, hit that subscribe button and join our wellness family. Let's go on this journey together of self-consideration as we discover how to start with me. Welcome to Moving Mountains in 3-inch heels. I'm Julia Jordan, and today we're going to have an open conversation about women and aging, including perimenopause and menopause. But also, this is the time in our life where we have the opportunity to create our new era, pursue our dreams, pursue our purpose. And I can't think of a better person to have that conversation with than my guest today, Carin Luna-Ostaseski. Did I do it right?
You did. Hi, Julia. Thank you so much for having me with you today.
I'm so happy you're here. I love your story. I think it's absolutely amazing. Let's talk about you for a minute. You are a successful entrepreneur, a women's wellness advocate, and founder of Is It Hot or Me? Which is a great question. And this is your second venture. And your first venture, you founded a whiskey company, and you are the first woman to found a whiskey company. Yeah. And I mean, and it's since been bought out by a large distributor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I do want to talk about that and your journey as an entrepreneur, because I think we have to make the distinction between an entrepreneur and a successful entrepreneur. And you are that. But you also started Is It Hot or Is It Just Me? Based on your experience with perimenopause and you having hot flashes in your 40s and realizing there was really no real solutions for women. So you started this company.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's been a journey. So this is, I'm calling it even my third act in life. I spent almost 20 years as a graphic designer before I switched gears in my early 30s. And that was a hard shift when you've had a job that, defines you and it's your identity. And then to take the leap and, start a business. And much less for me, it was a business where I didn't really have any resources or connections. And so bootstrapped that, worked a second job, a third job, finally about 3 years of doing that, I had enough money where I said, okay, I'm ready to take this leap. And I funded CS Scotch Whiskey on Kickstarter. That was back in 2012. And it took off to the races. It made me the first woman in history to make a brand of Scotch, first Hispanic person as well, which is pretty cool. Amazing. And then the brand grew through the years and was eventually acquired by one of the largest spirits conglomerates in the world. And so I was in my early 40s and I found myself with something new happening to me, which is some hot flashes were starting to show up. At first it was just sort of like asking everybody around me, like, hey, is it hot or is it just me? And then started to realize, like, yeah, it's just you. And also, P.S., you're in perimenopause. I had, hair loss, anxiety, brain fog, low libido, all kinds of other symptoms. Started talking to my doctor about these things, and he really didn't understand. He was giving me just solutions to, these symptoms like, oh, why don't you take this SSRI or take this Xanax? And all of it just sounded like red flags to me. So I eventually found a great doctor, a woman who is menopause certified, and we can talk about that, about how to find the right doctor. and, talked a little bit about hormone supplements and when to begin. But really, I started surrounding myself with a lot of products and services that really made a big difference in my life. And I said, well, what better next chapter in my life than to share these with women? And so I started a website called Hot or Just Me.
I love it. And I think when it's personal, it's not just helpful, like your products are helpful, but it's also inspiring too, because it is personal and it is something that you built from your own need. And similarly, I started down this path because I was experiencing things that just didn't make sense out of nowhere. We really have to dig for information. And it's kind of a shame when you're having these symptoms, like you had talked about, you had hair loss and brain fog and also anxiety. And I had joint pain. My cholesterol went through the roof, and I see a cardiologist and they're in a panic. And it turns out it's because my estrogen was in the basement and my cholesterol went through the roof. And it really just means our bodies are really efficient and it's just trying to compensate. But I didn't know what any of this stuff was until I started digging, and I felt like I'm smart, I'm educated, and there's a lot of smart and educated women. So if I don't know this, a lot of women may not know this either. And so I started down this road of really trying to figure out what is it. And there's so many symptoms that manifest themselves differently. Like you might think you have arthritis, but it's low estrogen. So there's so many things. And you even wrote a blog about it, the symptoms versus is it perimenopause or menopause? And can you talk about some of the things that we might run into?
For sure. To zoom out, perimenopause is the years leading up to menopause. And menopause is a day that you haven't had your period for 12 months. And for many women, they haven't had their period for many reasons. And so they really don't even know when that day is.
Right.
And so there's the 3 to 10 years leading up to it are perimenopause, an average about 7 years of a woman's life, where we have symptoms that we could misdiagnosed. There's irregular periods, there's hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, vaginal dryness, mood changes and irritability, joint pain, muscle aches. You were talking about brain fog, which happens to me all the time, low libido, and weight gain. There's also, because our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, are tied to so much of our body.
Yeah.
And this affects our heart health, our brain health, our skin, our breasts, our everything. It's all connected.
It is.
So sometimes we'll go to our doctor for this one thing that's bothering us, and then they'll try to treat that one thing without taking a step back, like our doctors finally did, and said, it seems like your estrogen is declining. Let's start talking about maybe hormone replacement therapy, if that's an option for you. And this is a conversation between you and your doctor. I like to tell people that it's important to find a doctor that is menopause certified. So most doctors in the United States will receive about 3 hours of menopause training in their entire residency. So it's pathetic, right?
Yeah, no, and it's true. And Dr. Marie-Claire
Haver,
yeah, she's amazing. And she talks about that. And she even says she even only had 3 hours. And she's one of the preeminent voices right now on the subject.
Yeah, she talked a lot about how until it happened to her, it wasn't something of concern, right? And we have her book on our website, The New Menopause. It's fantastic for anyone who hasn't read it. And it's a great resource to be able to talk to your doctor about what's happening to you, how to approach the conversation, how to learn about what kinds of hormones there are out there. And at the end, it goes really deep into various symptoms, almost like a toolkit of what you can do naturally through nutrition, through exercise, through supplements, and through hormones to navigate some of those. Some of the ones that could be mistaken are definitely thyroid issues. So sometimes people really need to rule that out to make sure that there's not something bigger. Depression is real, just feeling like the blues versus PMS, or if there is something bigger going on, any kind of chronic fatigue syndrome that you might feel like you're just a little tired here and there, but really just taking a look at what some of these bigger issues could be and then ruling those out and then starting to have those conversations around hormone replacement therapy, or maybe there's other ways around it until it's time for that conversation.
And you said something on your website that hormone replacement therapy wasn't necessarily for you. For me, it's been beyond helpful. But explain to me maybe why it wasn't for you, because there are some women that it's just not for. And what have you done in its place?
When I started talking to my doctor about it, she was the right doctor. She was fantastic. And she really asked me a lot about my medical history and my relationship with hormones in the past. And we had talked a lot when I was on birth control as a young adult. I went through some huge bouts of depression, and it was just really difficult to manage, and just literally sobbing into my pillow constantly and trying to figure out like what's wrong. I tried many, many different versions until I finally realized like maybe I just need to find an alternate form of birth control. And then when it finally came time, the full irony of life, when I wanted to have a child, I was in my late 30s and then had to resort to in vitro fertilization. So again, here I am now being pumped full of extreme hormones. And again, these issues of emotional dysregulation were just off the charts. And to the point where even after the second miscarriage, I was like, I'm not sure if I can keep doing this anymore because it was just so challenging. And so what was beautiful in talking to my doctors is we talked about the kinds of hormones I was on and how those are different from what I would be taking if I was on HRT, which is a very, very low dose. And it's very like trial and error. So it's just a little bit here and see how it goes. If that doesn't work, we can tweak it. We can try maybe even a different modality. So there's so many more options out there right now. And so the truth is I'm excited to take hormone replacement therapy. What I have learned is that it's better to start early. And so my plan is probably in the next year or two to start making those experiments, if you will.
Yeah. If I had to do it over again, and if I knew what I knew now 10 years ago, I would have started mid 40s. I feel like there's so little information out there, and there's becoming more, and it's being more talked about. But if I knew this 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have run into a brick wall at 90 miles an hour. You know, I mean, I would have seen the brick wall.
Yeah.
And so I feel like for women that are in their 50s, we're kind of being reactive where we could have been proactive had we known. And I feel like there are celebrities that are in their 50s now that have probably been on HRT for 10 years. And I don't blame them for not talking about it because they would have woken up without a career the next day because that's how it is. So I get it. You recall my guest, Bree Wiseman, when she was on, and she was talking, she sees women as early as 32 in perimenopause. Now that's an extreme case, but it's not even out of the realm of possibility that it starts in your 30s. It's more
late 30s,
in your 40s.
Very common.
Yeah. And you've brought it up a couple times, and I think it's really important, about anxiety and depression, and that you really struggled with it. And I saw a really sad statistic the other day that if a woman is going to commit suicide, the odds are very high she's going to do it between the ages of 45 and 55.
Gosh, that's so tragic.
That's the height of our being in perimenopause or menopause. And so if someone's out there right now and they don't feel like themselves and they just are struggling with anxiety or depression, I'll put up phone numbers to call or to text, but also it can be your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone, your hormone levels. And it's kind of unfortunate they call them your sex hormones because they run your body. It's not
your
just
whole
about
body,
that.
right?
But there's statistics where we have such a change in our bodies and our entire makeup.
Yeah.
And it's just so important that the information get out there. And like you were saying, get someone that's certified in menopause. And I don't think it's across the board. It's just male doctors that don't know. It's women doctors don't know either because there's so little done in med school. So it's better to find someone that's certified. So how did you go about that? And what were the conversations you were having to find the right doctor?
Yeah. To go back to the anxiety conversation, I encourage everyone to seek mental health support, talk to your doctors, get the support that you need. Cognitive behavioral therapy has been fantastic for me, just having someone to talk to. And it's no surprise that at this age in life that the statistic that you shared, as sad as it is, it's not surprising based on all the changes that are going on in our bodies, these feelings of anxiety, feeling alone, feeling like you're going crazy. And then you're taking care of your children, you're taking care of your aging parents, or you're dealing with grief of some kind. And so there's a lot to handle at this stage in life. And we tend to kind of carry it all on our shoulders. We don't immediately look for support for ourselves. And so that's why self-care is just so important. But to answer your question about doctors, I was given a wonderful resource that I'd love to share, and it's menopause.org. And And on menopause.org, there is a list of certified menopause practitioners. Most doctors in the United States, as we said, they don't get the training that we deserve. So what happens is a lot of even OBGYNs, like they're in the business of delivering babies, right? And so maybe by the time that they've reached the age of taking care of older adults, that they might have even retired, or it's just not relevant for them.
Right.
And so it has to be a practitioner that has gone through this extra level of certification to really understand hormone health and menopause in general. So that's a wonderful resource. There are about 2,500 doctors listed on that website. We talked about Dr. Haver. She has a website called The Pause Life, and there's another directory of doctors there that women have recommended. These are, hey, I love my doctor, a referral to them. And so that's another resource. And then for people that don't have one of these doctors in their zip code and their geography, they can look for telehealth options like Alloy, MIDI Health, or Evernow. And most of these are covered by health insurance.
That's incredible. What are some of the questions that you asked when you decided on the doctor? What's the conversation you had with her?
It was point blank, hey, I don't know if I'm ready for HRT yet, but what should I look for? Let's talk about that. And so it was very much a discussion, an open conversation. And I encourage women to look up there's a great site called Morphus, Morphus, and it's a supplement site. However, they have collected almost 5,000 surveys from women talking about their symptoms. And there's a top 100. And some of them are very common, hot flashes for sure, insomnia, or low libido. But then there's some really obscure ones like ringing in your ears, or phantom smells where you're smelling gasoline or fire, or there might be burning tongue sensation, frozen shoulders. So there's a lot of symptoms to look for. And then this is what you can talk to your doctor about. These are the symptoms that I'm experiencing. These are the ones that are really damaging my life and my lifestyle right now. And that might affect the conversation of which hormones to try first, how to take them.
You brought up HRT, hormone replacement therapy, a couple times, and it is a personal decision that you have to have with your healthcare provider and when to have it. Dosage is kind of, I think it's trial and error for everybody. Let's start here. How do you feel? And then let's up it. For me, it was a game changer. It really helped me. There's other things involved. I do transdermal and it's bioidentical. And just to be clear, bioidentical is not a FDA approved term. It's more of a marketing term. But having said that, quality matters. So you need to make sure you're with someone that can give you a high quality hormone replacement and that it is bioidentical, and the quality does matter. And so that's important too. And then it is kind of trial and error as far as like, they'll start you lower. How you doing? Good. Let's try a little more, and then each one has different purposes. Like progesterone helps with sleep, for example. And then there's other like the estradiol and the estrogen that help with like heart health and cholesterol. And having said that, it does not replace talking to your healthcare provider about those specific symptoms, but I have seen improvement. 1, 2, I don't hurt. But the other things I'm doing also, you have to look at how you're eating. You need higher protein, you need higher fiber, we need to get the toxins. Turmeric has helped me. It's not just one thing that helps, but I have seen improvement. So I do encourage women to have that conversation if you're feeling different. And it's hard to identify. If I think back when I was between 45 and 47, I had no idea what was going on, because really nothing was going on, but apparently it was, you know what I mean? So I just wish I knew to even have blood work done then, to take a look at everything, the hormones, including like your thyroid, your cortisol, insulin, like you said, it's all connected. And so I would highly recommend anybody in their 40s to at least get a blood panel done with your healthcare provider and just take a look at your levels and see what does need to be addressed. Is that kind of what you did?
I did. And it's interesting you were talking about that. So my doctor, when I asked for a full blood workup, this is the first one, right, was just sort of like questioning, well, why? Why do you need that? You're healthy. It's like, well, how do I know that I'm healthy? I haven't had a full blood workup like of everything, right? And so I ended up finding a service called Function Health, and you just literally take matters into your own hands and can book any kind of blood panel test that you want, including genetic markers for Alzheimer's or thyroid panels or heart panels. So basically, just schedule it for once a year. What I've done is basically track it so that I can see how am I trending over time versus just this one test that my doctor was able to recommend. And so I'm able to take the whole blood lab workup, because there are some challenges through insurance of ordering all these extra tests for what reason. And it's a shame that that's the way that the healthcare system works, that it's not as much preventative as we'd like it to be. And so, yeah, I encourage people to just do that on their own.
Yeah. And you've given multiple helpful websites. So I'm going to put those on the show notes. So don't worry, they'll be there along with all your website and your social media links so everybody can get in touch with you. Let's talk about this. I really feel like the best opportunity in your 40s and beyond to start your second act, to reinvent yourself, to have like really pursuing your dream, really what you were meant to pursue. If you're like me, and I'm sure like you, you've been responsible for so many things and had to do so much when everything gets turned upside down anyway. So why not turn it all upside down and start and like, what's your passion? What do you love? And so we have this great opportunity to do that, where in the past we didn't have maybe the know-how, and certainly your people-pleasing desire goes to like that. So that helps. You said you're working 2 to 3 jobs, saving your money. Then you got on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And you bet it all on you. So that was the beginning of what you've turned everything into. What was the catalyst, or what was that thing that you said, you know what, I am doing it. I'm betting it all on me. Here I go.
It's funny. I think it's like the rhythms of life. In this era, this huge biological change that was happening to me was the catalyst. What happened to me the first time around was actually a huge relational change. I was going through a breakup, pretty messy divorce. And, it was this moment, this like aha moment where I was like, well, who am I without this person, right? I get to be whoever I want. And it's not about who am I in this relationship, or who were our mutual friends, or what were the activities that we did together. It's almost like, hey, it's back to me. And then sometimes you forget, who are you, right? Without a person.
Yeah.
And so it was this moment of kind of reinvention of, well, what makes me happy, and what do I want to do, and what do I want to let go of? And a big one of that was just my job, staring at a computer screen all day. It was just not serving me. And I was really loving these moments of connection in real life with people. And so I thought, that's what I want my legacy to be about. And so it's easier said than done to just be like, all right, I'm going to start a business now. But I think in hindsight, I'm glad that I didn't know how difficult it was going to be, because had I known, I might not have taken that leap.
Yeah.
But, I think when you believe in something and you really define what your North Star is, if you will. And for me, that was very much about helping other entrepreneurs that look like me, women, minorities that just needed help. And so I was able to start a grant program through my business. And to date, we've given $350,000 away to small businesses that are small women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, along with 6 months of mentorship from me. And so now with Hot or Just Me, I thought, well, who can I serve in the purpose of this business? And the answer came to me is like through a company called period.org, and they supply menstrual products to young women, and it has a huge impact on their lives. They're not skipping school because of any kind of issues. They aren't at a loss for money to be able to get the products that they need. And then on the flip side of it is menopause in the workplace initiatives. So thinking about, as we age as women, how are our employers supporting us? Do we get temperature regulation in our environments, in our offices? Is it fans where we sit? Is it mental health breaks when we need a moment? Is it, if you're in a uniform job, what are you wearing on your body? Is it breathable? Can it be layered? So there's just so much that goes into how are we considering women in the workplace as well. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just, who can I serve?
Yes. And then it's funny you're saying about like fans and stuff. I'm always cold. And so think about it that way. Like they always bought me a space heater. I was freezing.
Right.
So if you're going to have the air this low, I'm going to need a space heater.
Exactly.
And a blanket, but I bring my own blanket. And that's funny that you're talking about, because I don't have hot flashes. So here I am thinking, I'm skating through. It's like, oh, no. I hit that same brick wall at 90 miles an hour. It's just different things. And that goes back to what we were saying. It's very personal and individual for each woman. It's not a one size fits all. And that's why it's so important to do your research, have conversations with certified healthcare providers, and find the one that can help you, and take the initiative in your 40s. It is so much better to be proactive than stuck being reactive. And you've touched on it. And I love what you're doing now and serving women. And your website, Hot or Just Me, is really the products, the services, it's like a one-stop shop. I mean, what can we expect when we go to your website? What are we looking for? What do we need? Tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you. So we do have a personalized quiz if you're not sure where to start, where you could put in your age, what stage you're in, if you know, if you don't know, and then what are some of the symptoms that you're facing. We do have all of the products on the site are categorized by symptoms. So hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, low libido, insomnia, fatigue, hair and skin care. We also have a bookstore and a gift shop. We are opening up some additional categories in the coming months, so including irregular periods, mood changes, irritability, brain fog, and more. And then we also have products are categorized by bundles. So we have some of the products are grouped together, say like, welcome to the club. And it has the Dr. Haver's book, Dr. Peltz's book, a gift card. We have one called Stay Cool and Calm that has a lot of the jewelry I'm wearing today, which is just freezable jewelry. It helps with hot flashes, like little personal fans. We have sleep bundle, so a variety of grouped products. And then we have an amazing resource library about 50 different articles from everything about your symptoms. It could be about HRT and talking to your doctor, acupuncture, bone loss, and so much more. And then I do hope in the next couple months to be rolling out a services directory. So a listing of certified practitioners, not only doctors, but also acupuncturists or hair and skin providers and cognitive behavioral therapists, sex therapists, you name it.
So it's expanding because I've been on your site several times. It's amazing. And so just that you're even adding more, because I think it's amazing already. So that's incredible, like your vision and your plan, and that you're helping all of us. And it's helping women do one of the things we do best, taking matters into our own hands and figuring it the F out ourselves. And if you want to learn more about Carin and her products, we'll have all her information listed in the show notes, including links to her website and social media. I think your willingness to share and be so open about your experience is empowering to other women who may be struggling in silence. This is still a stigma. This is still taboo. Happens to all of us. So there are a lot of women that are struggling in silence and don't necessarily know what to do or even where to start. And so the fact that you're doing this is so helpful. What are some words of encouragement that you could leave us with that will just help us continue on our journey?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is for women to know that you are not alone. This is coming for all of us. It's happening to all of us in some way, shape, or form at different times and different levels of intensity. But it is a shared universal experience, and one that we can embrace with joy and not fear, and be proud of getting to this age. I think culturally there's a stigma about aging, but in reality it's a privilege to be this old, to have earned these experiences, these life moments that we can share together, and these joys. So embrace your stripes. I got my gray hairs are my stripes, and just be able to support women along.
I love what you said about you're not alone in this, and you're not. And it's so incredible. And aging is a privilege. You're right. I mean, it beats the alternative. Plus, we get smarter. I would say not just smarter, but wiser as we get older. And I don't know anybody that would ever go back to their 20s. There's not enough money on the planet. But maybe my 30s.
I could pinpoint a couple nights I'd like to go back to, but not like the decade as a whole.
Right, just to like for a few minutes, knowing what I know now. You are amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to teach us and to encourage us. I really appreciate you showing up today for all of us.
Thank you so much, Julia, and thank you to your listeners. As a special thank you, we have a small gift of appreciation. The link is in the show notes, but it's a discount code for Julia in 3, the number 3, for a discount of 10% off of your order at Hot or Just Me.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on Moving Mountains in 3-inch heels. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest tips for living your best life. Until next time, stay fabulous, and remember, your wellness journey matters. Self-care is a necessity, and it does not require an apology. I'll see you soon.